Walmart taking a major hit after a major forecast downgrade, and a large part of it had to do with higher wages. Remember, Walmart voluntarily hiking wages, and now, well, they're paying for it. But what about other companies that could soon be forced to hike their wages? The former presidential candidate, Ralph Nader. Ralph, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Walmart, I guess, looking at the political tea leaves, understood that they had to make this move. But it's pretty apparent that it's taking a big chunk and it's hurting them already.
Not at all. They must think the public are fools. Look at the figures, Charles. The wage hikes, the small wage hikes that they put into effect will cost Walmart $3 billion over the next 2 years, or 3% of their annual operating budget. Now watch what they've done. They have spent $20 billion in stock buybacks this year. In 2013, $15 billion in stock buybacks, after completing $36 billion in stock buybacks between 2009 and 2013. That's real money, and it doesn't produce anything productive for Walmart other than increase the measurement criteria for executive compensation. Stock buybacks are a huge scandal, and they're pouring tens of billions of dollars into stock buyback, and they're blaming this piddling raise for some of their woes that have tanked their stock. Well, Costco pays much higher wages on the average than Walmart, and it just has a 4% increase in profits in fiscal year 2014 and a better stock performance. This is decayed top management, Charles. Decayed top management.
Although, Ralph, I could tell you, I know Costco is the one that the progressives like to hold up as an example, but I could say the Container Store and other companies that follow this sort of conscious capitalism, which is sort of oxymoronic line. But to your point, what you're really arguing here, though, is that the capitalistic system, as we've set it up, should be completely restructured so that when a company goes public, when they raise money, the shareholders are no longer the most important, that management should not be looking to reward the people that funded their business in the first place.
No, if they put the billions instead of stock buybacks, Charles, put it into dividends, that would be a good thing because people would get checks all over the country and they'd spend money and the economy would be improved. No, the stock buyback is a terrible, terrible policy designed to help the executive compensation at the top. The CEO of Walmart, Doug McMillon, makes $12,458 an hour. $12,458 an hour. And the average Walmart worker is still under $10 an hour. This is a decayed management.
And you know what? I'm going to watch a baseball game later on today, and a guy will probably make 2 times what Doug makes. Here, ultimately, we're talking about a different sort of skill set. And I think it's a specious argument and certainly dishonest when we start throwing those things out. Here's the thing. Almost every think tank that I could think of, no matter what their political leanings, acknowledges that these forced higher minimum wages do result in fewer jobs. And what we're talking about for the poorest people in this country is most poor households have 3 or 4 people that work. And they don't make a lot of money, so anywhere between $8 and $10 an hour. If one of them gets a raise, or they all get a raise up to $12, but one loses a job, net, that household takes an enormous economic hit. You understand that perhaps out of the compassion that you feel for this, you may actually be destroying the poorest people in this country with these forced higher minimum wages.
Totally false on the historical record. Rising minimum wages increases consumer purchases, which increases sales, which increases profits, which increases jobs. You don't get anywhere reducing or freezing a minimum wage eaten up by inflation.
You know, this morning we had the Consumer Price Index out.
Yeah.
The number was down.
Yeah.
There's no pricing power. Very few companies outside of Apple and Nike can charge a lot of money for their products.
Charles, it's just bad management. Never mind your right-wing philosophy.
It's not bad management. People haven't made money. How can it? Listen, how can? Ralph,
it's bad management, Charles. Let me speak. You're interviewing me.
Go.
It's bad management from any standpoint to spend billions of dollars on stock buybacks instead of giving it back in dividends to the shareholders or increasing the living wages of their hard-pressed workers. It's just bad morale.
In fact,
Walmart just admitted that they gave the raise in order to reduce employee turnover.
Right. There's no doubt about that. Listen, and that's a market force. That's fine. If Walmart says that, that's good. But if they did it to get ahead of political pressure because they've got 1.1 million workers and they're the target of unions, they're the target of progressive, they're the target of anti-capitalists, then maybe that's another reason they did it. But if it's because of free markets, fine. But here's ultimately what we're talking about. We're in a country with a lackluster post-recession recovery, the worst ever. There's no pricing power. So if a company's got to spend more money, they've had to offset that somewhere. Where do you offset it? You fire people, and if you can, you raise prices.
No, you don't have billions of dollars of stock buybacks. Isn't that getting through to you? Stock buybacks are just something for top management's executive compensation. It's been condemned by economists all over the country.
Ralph, I know I'm interviewing you, and you want to give all the answers, but let me just throw this in here. I guarantee you 50 million people in this country, a minimum, own Walmart stock. I guarantee you that, and they were relying on it for their retirement. And their retirement looks a lot worse today than it did 24 hours ago.
It would have been a lot better if the stock buyback were dividends and investing in new plant and equipment, because Amazon is on its tail. Amazon wants to do to Walmart what Walmart did to Sears, and Walmart just doesn't have good management. It just doesn't have good management.
I tell you what, that's called creative destruction. And if you think you're frustrated now, watch how much money Amazon can make with a fraction of workers that Walmart has. But I agree. Look at the charts of both companies. One is succeeding, one isn't. Before I let you go, though, is it the government's place? Is it the government's place to dictate how much companies pay their workers?
Yeah, because in a surplus labor situation, and you can imagine why there's a surplus labor situation, corporations can deny people who work full-time an opportunity to live a decent life. You should not be poor if you work full-time in America.
Ralph Nader, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Okay, Charles.
Thanks a lot.